We've talked about Cleveland. We've talked about Philly. We've talked about them receiving, $50 million apiece to put toward equipment such as riot gear, training equipment, all in anticipation of these droves of people that are going to descend upon both cities here in the next few months. Now, other cities have been taking moves along the way too. It's kind of went unnoticed, sliding under the radar. And not just cities, whole countries. This new report talks about the details of fascism and how it creeps in over time. And we've seen just that. And how a police system in all these countries, which is supposed to ideally be set up to protect the people, is being used against the people en masse. And people are awakening on a daily basis around the globe. You're seeing countries beyond the U.S. and Canada. You're talking Iran, Egypt, Russia, China, Thailand, just to name a few, that have started to procure these riot control pieces of equipment, and they're investing heavily in these non-lethal weapons. You're talking water cannons, beanbag guns, tasers, different kinds of gases, tear gas, and all that. And a lot of new gadgets that they haven't put on display yet. One thing's for sure, when Cleveland rolls around, we should get a taste of exactly what they're priming to do. Now, as we approach Cleveland, I'm going to zero in on the specifics of everything that we know, step by step, approaching that, because there's going to be roads shut down. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of people there, and we already know that some of these groups that have demonstrated in the streets that have been paid are planning on being here. So knowing that, you already know there's going to be a level of corruption in fake protests in the streets already. Now, are we going to sit back and allow these fake protesters to clash with the police in the streets to cause a scene so big that they eventually clamp down and they say, it's illegal for you to gather in mass now? Better pay attention to what's going on, folks, because from what I've seen, especially here recently, from Philly all the way to D.C., there is something massively deceptive going on with these movements, and it looks like they're grooming some of these guys coming up out of the streets to make them look like they're heroes here down the road when it counts, to try to get thousands of people to fall in behind them. And I'm warning you now, it is deception. It is, in my opinion, occult black magic, and they're doing nothing short of holding rituals with these people. When they continue the same chants, they repeat the same chants. If you were to take an occult book and look at what they do to break down the psyche and the mind of an individual, taking away your privacy, scheduling your bathroom breaks, making you fall in line and listen to their commands, 80+% of what we witnessed in this past protest, this most recent one, aligned with everything the occult do to break down the mental barriers inside of each person and to set up what they want, their key words, their trigger words in these sigil type of events. It's exactly what it is, where these people start marching around, chanting things, and someone could say something completely over the top right in the middle of it, like, Obama is your savior. And they would all agree, knowing if they snapped out of it, they would all agree that, no, it's the opposite. But when they get pulled in, it's like magic. Literally. They are being led by the nose. And I'm seeing it on a whole new level. And I'm telling you, when it hits these election type atmospheres, where you've got all these people that are already conditioned to think one way or another, they're going to insert certain pockets, and there's going to be those pockets there that are going to clash. The anti-Trumps, the Trumps, and if it goes down anything like I've seen it here in D.C. recently, it's all going to be scripted, even down to the police, to where people are never even really arrested, It's just to serve an end goal that many of the people don't see. And I can't stress enough the importance of that. Because if you get caught up in this out here in the streets and you think that you're dealing with a bunch of zombies, and trust me, there's going to be true protesters out here too. And that's the problem. It looks to me like they're being overridden by a staged fake movement. I hope people are paying attention. You better take it from someone that's been on the ground in the streets and seen this at face value all over the place. I'm warning you. What I'm seeing is them priming certain individuals to try to take advantage of a window of opportunity that's going to open here in the near future. And that's when the mainstream media is going to grab these guys and start blasting their name in their face all across the country, trying to get everyone behind them. That is as dangerous as it gets. Okay? Like I said, the officers here across this country and across the globe, you're supposed to take an oath to serve and protect your people. And I know because I've been out there and I've asked them myself, why is this happening? Why are you guys doing this or that? Well, we've got to take orders. We've got to get a paycheck. We got to feed our family. You hear it time and time again. Well, some of you that are behind the badge need to stop and look at what you're being told to do. It's no different than someone signing up for the military and being sent off and told to go slaughter people, innocent people, and just doing it because you're being told to do so. In your heart, is that truly protecting your country? You know it's not. You know it's not. So that starts to eat them inside. Plus, with all the other levels of corruption, you need to walk righteous. It's the only way we're going to win. When they can take off their masks, drop their batons, and you can see all these people come together in mass, locking arms. Boy, oh boy, would that not only be a story in itself, you would send the establishment into panic mode. If the situation they wanted to cause chaos out of, you brought peace to, you found somehow, some way to do it. Oh boy. They'd leave their riot gear sitting there in a pile. Worthless, not needed. Especially when half these guys and gals working for the force are coming from the same neighborhoods, grew up in the same places, went to the same colleges and high schools as most of you, and a lot of the people in these places know some of these people. It's not like they're complete strangers. You have to eventually go back home to society where you don't have that badge. So you can't hide behind it 24/7, although some try to abuse that. Don't get it twisted. There's going to be plenty of young punks, I'm sure they're making sure of, fresh out of the academy. They're out here ready to stomp and just be airheads about the whole thing, jugheads, and just want to be hot shots out there like I seen in D.C. One just trying to bark at people, tell them to get off a wall for no reason, 2-foot wall, no reason, just kept screaming it. Complete prick. And then you had others, that came up and took the time to explain things. Like one explained to me the tripod situation, which I did not know. After one said, you can't have your tripod up here. Just a prick. Another one, the only one with the AR-15 around him, walked up to me and said, hey, you can't have that there. But let me explain to you what's going on. And that was on the live stream. He was extremely cool. Extremely cool. And even, gave me a tap on the shoulder and said, I have a good day, brother, as I walked off. It all comes down to the hearts of men and women. Okay, and you best believe we're going to need good people on the inside and in the ranks of every division, of every office, of every branch of government we have out there, because if we do not have it, it's just going to be a bunch of corruption, a bunch of people, a bunch of zombies, airheads on both sides that are being used, ran against one another in the streets, and it's exactly what they want. Whose motto is that? Whose motto is order out of chaos? I suggest if you don't know, you do some research, and you better do it quick, because they're ramping things up, and this from Cleveland will jump to Philly, and we're going to have back-to-back weeks in July where things could get a little hairy in both these cities, but all yet to be seen. I can tell you one thing's for sure, though. They're planning on having large movements of different groups that don't agree at all colliding right there in front of the queue. So expect it. It's going to come. And we look to be on the ground, on the scene, showing you guys what's really going on. Catch anything, any red flags, we look to expose it. Shout outs to everyone out there playing their part, fighting the good fight. To awaken people, it's half the battle. You have to let them see what's going on both sides, or we're never going to win. Like I said, the day you take one of their events that was doomed for chaos and you change its destiny, those elites are going to be so ticked off, and that's when you start to win. Don't let it fall back into the hand of the same 1%, folks. Because the way they're taking it, it's exactly where it's going. If you paid attention, they're trying to get everyone ticked off. You notice how Trump came out in a speech? He says the whole system's rigged. The whole system's rigged. He repeated that. And so I'm trying to tell you. He's putting it into the minds of the people. Look at all the stuff they rained down on Hillary. You don't have to do much to anyone else at this point, because Hillary's trying to just break out and be the sole candidate coming from the Democratic side. She only had one person to compete against this whole time. And you see, compared to the Republicans, you see, she's just going to walk all the way on up. You see, and with the Benghazi, all the scandal, people are seeing this. They're seeing scandal, so people are not happy about that. And then look at Ted Cruz now. They're dropping all this information about his past and all these scandals. Timing is everything. They're doing this to tick people off left and right, and even make people unsure of the vote they just casted, which in a way is kind of good, because people need to wake up and see the whole thing as a rigged system. It is. But you need not respond in the fashion that they're inciting you to do, which is take to the streets and clash with the police. Everyone get bloodied up, go to jail, this and that, and then they're going to clamp down. Versus ever change any law for the righteous. When they start doing that, you should know it's part of the ploy. If you get a group that shows up and says, we're going to march on Washington until they give us these demands, and they never do a damn thing, and then they leave, and then all of a sudden there's talk of having hearings over immigration and all this stuff, making it seem like they actually achieved something when we all know they didn't, it shows you that it was all part of the plan to begin with. And whose hand would that play into? If all these people could flood in here instantly, no matter their age, nationality, legality, and they could just cast a vote and it count. It would work against all of us Americans, I'm telling you. They would flood them in here to take over your jobs, to take over everything else, and people are just blindly looking the other way because your mainstream, controlled mainstream media isn't telling you all this. You see, controlled by the same billionaire buddies Rupert Murdoch and George Soros we've been exposing this whole time. How come none of them are calling it out, though? How come Donald Trump's not calling out George Soros? How come none of them are? How come when it comes to 9/11, they all want to keep sticking with the same old crap and never want to mention the Mossad? You better do your research quick. I'll leave a link. Eyes open.